founder of Cannabis. I got to say it again. Founder of cannabis consulting firm BERINGIA Cannabis from Canton, Mississippi. My brother from another mother, Hardy Case. How have you been, brother?
Dude, I've been awesome. Just glad to be alive, man. Super glad to be alive. Excited to be on the show. Just super excited to see what you've been doing, and just a big supporter, man.
Man, I appreciate it. You know, when we were talking the other night, you sent me so much information so quick. I was just like, dude, come on the show. So sometimes it's the best way not to get lost in translation.
No doubt. No doubt. And we need to get information out there as much as possible. So I'm all about it.
Tell people what you do. Let's jump to that real quick. Just kind of who you are, what you do, and then we'll backtrack from there.
Yeah. So I was born, in Canton, Mississippi. So just a good old Canton boy. And actually got my start in the cannabis industry at the medical marijuana fields in Oxford, Mississippi, almost 20 years ago. And, talk about a surreal experience. That's another whole, story. And then, I moved up to Michigan to go to law school because it was the closest state to Mississippi with medical cannabis, and ended up starting a dispensary there, and really, just kind of got off deep into the industry, and, was hired to be the chief operating officer of the international hemp market recently in Tennessee. And actually, I helped set up Magnolia Hemp Company in Madison, Mississippi recently. You can go to magnoliahempco.com. It's a CBD business. So I pretty much help companies set up and get started in either the cannabis, medical or recreational side, or the hemp CBD side. Right now, I'm out in California on assignment helping this company start company called Creative Bath Design. I have one of their products right here.
Yeah, I've actually got their website pulled up here, and I can patch that in. I was showing my wife, Crystal, the bath bombs.
Yeah, and
I was like, how cool is that?
It is cool, and it's all legal. They're getting great reviews. It's there's 350 milligrams of CBD, which it's the highest CBD bath bomb on the market. This guy who created this company, he actually was featured in Time magazine for starting a business called Actabliss, which was designed to get people off of drinking lean and onto cannabis. I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure the folks know what lean is, but
yeah. It killed Pimp C.
Oh, no doubt. Anyway, that company, the founder's a really innovative guy, and we've done a lot of business together. I actually helped launch Actabliss on the East Coast back in 2014 when that company was founded. We've been buddies ever since. So anyway, yeah, I'm just pretty much helping companies across America get set up in the industry, and just having a ball. Super excited that Mississippi's going medical, and there's just going to be a whole lot to do, obviously, with that coming up right around the corner.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, a lot of people are really excited about it. It feels like it's the next step to opening up for recreational at some point. And admittingly, I've been back and forth on that as a father and stuff like that. But
no doubt.
But I'm turning the corner as long as it's legal.
Well, it's here's one thing. You can abuse any substance. And the thing about cannabis is there's so many different varieties now. There's so many different ways to test it. It's not all about the THC content anymore. I mean, as more people are understanding the science behind terpenes, which that's actually what gives the cannabis its flavor and smell and some other properties too. But yeah, there's just a lot involved with it, and Mississippi is going to be interesting. I think sooner or later, Clay, it's going to be legal federally just everywhere, and I think that's going to happen within the next couple of years.
I was really surprised that Trump didn't do it when he had the opportunity. You know, I mean, well, he still has the opportunity, but I was surprised. Of course, not enforcing it helps, you know, but I thought, I was like, man, that's something that could turn a lot of the left side of the aisle. And I'm not going to drag into political conversation tonight, but I thought that was something that could have brought the left side over, you know, to say, hey, you know what, man, this guy, prison reform, or I mean, criminal justice reform, and legalizing pot on the federal level, that would have been huge within, I mean, I'm just going to say it, within the urban community, you know.
Yeah, it would have been big everywhere.
And
all
you
the
know,
people honestly,
that would have got out of jail for decriminalization and everything. So
yeah, and speaking of, the House committee just passed the MORE Act, which is going to, they did that today actually, and it's supposed to get a vote on the floor, I believe, next week of the House. And that's going to, you know, I don't know if it's going to pass the Senate right now because everything's kind of up in the air, especially with the Georgia Senate elections. But at least, you know, if it can get rescheduled, you know, that could be a big deal. Also, the UN, United Nations, which I don't, you know, put a whole lot of salt in stuff that they say, but they did vote to take cannabis off of the dangerous drug list, which is huge for the industry globally, because it's going to, of course, open up fields of commerce and that. But
yeah, and they did that a few months back, right? That wasn't nothing in the last week or so.
Well,
right?
the UN just did it, but the House has been trying to pass it, and it just kind of going up the rungs of the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, talking about what Trump, I was thinking if he was going to get a second term, you know, I definitely thought that he was going to do it in a second term. So,
yeah, no pun intended, but I thought it would have been a real Trump card.
You know? Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if he would have pulled the trigger early, you know, like 2 years in, and and really just gotten a lot of steam, then man, yeah, that he would have been a problem.
Yeah, you know, I think it got bogged down with other stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Russia.
Well, so, yeah, no doubt. I mean, come on.
One of our more sarcastic followers asked, "So, are you a drug dealer?"
Say that to me, or you?
Yeah. I guess he said it to you.
Well, I mean, look, my great granddad was a pharmacist in Canton, Mississippi. You know, I mean, and you know, I don't really know. I mean, it may, you know, I guess I don't care what people say. I mean, it's life's too short to worry about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, everybody has their opinion. I mean, you know, you know, sugar's the worst, you know, drug in the whole world. I mean, I'm guilty. I eat a big old bowl of ice cream every night, and I'm trying not to, but you know.
Well, you know, I look at it like this: if you're not selling it where it's illegal, then you're not a drug dealer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of the whole point behind getting everything legalized and regulated, so people don't have to go to the black market. And this doggone black market, Clay, funds all these Mexican cartels and stuff. And you know, it's just it's something that they do not want, and it's something that America, you know, needs to go ahead and do, just to cut down on some of their market. These drug cartels and stuff, they're horrible, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think I probably, like most people, I thought, it's like, man, if you legalize it or decriminalize it, does it take the cool factor off of it? You know, where younger folks are like, well, you know, it's just cigarettes now, theoretically. You know,
I mean, it does.
Alcohol. Does it eliminate that? And then they say, well, I'm going to try this because it's not legal. But I don't think you're seeing that, at least in these other markets that are profiting from it, you know, in Colorado and places like that in California. Well, California is still just medical, right? Or is it?
Well, yeah, it's recreational too. And you know, it's you know, a lot of people over here in California, you know, some people, depending on which side of the market you're in, if you're in the medical side, you know, they don't really like the recreational side because it kind of cut out of their clientele a little bit. But you know, there is a place for medical cannabis, because you know, even after it becomes legal federally, there's still going to be, you know, a medical cannabis platform or industry, because you know, it does have qualities that help in many different, you know, sicknesses. You know, you can go to if you go to YouTube and search, you know, breast cancer cannabis, there's this long, you know, deal presentation by this molecular biologist where she just goes point by point and actually talks about how, you know, the whole plant cannabis is more effective at targeting breast cancer cells than the isolated THC, which some of these big pharma companies are coming out with. You know, now it's actually better just to have access to the whole plant, and something called Simpson oil. You know, that's the stuff that kind of, you know, made cannabis really a popular cancer treatment, and in some cases cure. And it's just the cannabis oil. It's just the oil extracted from the plant, and anybody can make it, you know. So there's just, you know, there's a lot of growth in the medical industry. And
Yeah, well,
honestly, I think that's going to be bigger than even recreational. You know,
you know, just sitting here thinking it, you know, as a layman, you know, from the medical side, even if they're recreational becomes legal, I think there's going to be a lot of people on the medical side who probably would have never smoked it recreationally or ingested it recreationally until their doctor says, hey, maybe this is a better option for you. And then they begin using it. You know, they weren't like somebody who wasn't randomly going to just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to try some pot today. You know, but like your doctor says, hey, you should probably try this and this particular strain. I'm going to give you a prescription and this is how it's going to work for you. Because I think a lot of people out there kind of have a very, you know, generic old school mentality about the different types of marijuana, and that, well, the fact that there are different types of marijuana and different strands do different things, and it ain't just get high and melt into your couch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, there's so many different strains out there of cannabis, and even, you know, that's, you know, you could be growing one strain, Clay, and I could be growing another, and it could have a totally different terpene profile, totally different, you know, THC and cannabinoid profile. So that's kind of you know, I'll share one bit of advice that I give a lot of growers, and some of them listen to it and profit from it, and some of it don't. But, you know, if you're going to grow cannabis, pick you a couple of good strains and learn how to grow them well. And then, you know, you'll kind of be well on your way. So there's just a little tip if you want to store that in your memory bank out there, you know, if there are any viewers that are watching.
So that is good information. So tell me this. I'm guessing that we're not all going to be able to just start growing our own.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up. No, you're not going to be able to.
Does it have to be grown in the state it's distributed or sold in? Like, does Mississippi have to grow it here to sell it here, or can it come across state lines legally?
Well, so that's always an interesting, you know, question. And it's supposed to in Mississippi, and it you know, I can tell you, I know the people that are, I know some of the people that are on the state health board, and you know, we were absolutely on the other side of the Initiative 65 fight, but they're going to make sure that that Mississippi farmers and growers benefit. I don't think they're going to let out of state cannabis come in. Now,
it feels like
initially
with at least what has been going on at Ole Miss the last 20 years.
Right. You know, yeah. So, like I said, eventually people are going to be able to grow. A lot of people in other medical cannabis states are petitioning their legislatures to allow states or allow individuals to home grow, which everybody should be able to grow at home. I mean, you know, just to make, you know, the Simpson oil, or just to be able to grow it. You know? Tell
us what that is. Simpson oil. Am I saying that right? Like a first name, last name, Simpson? Like named after somebody?
It is. It's named after a guy named Simpson who had stage 4 melanoma I believe it was about 24 years ago. And he had gone to a lot of different doctors, hadn't had any success, and did some research on cannabis oil and ended up coming up with his way to extract the good properties and the terpenes and the cannabinoids from the buds. And he started doing that and kind of taught essentially the world, the cannabis community anyway, how to make proper extractions. So that is the stuff that actually can treat, and in some instances, and everybody can look it up, cure cancer. So, you know, and it's really easy to make, Clay. I mean, I could go to Walmart right now, buy the materials and for cheap and make it. And that's one thing actually I'm looking at doing, is starting an educational school in Mississippi eventually that will teach people how to do things like, you know, make Rick Simpson oil and right. Yeah.
Like specify, you know, where you can just take a day and say, I'm gonna go learn this about this today, you know?
Right, right. Yeah. So there's a dispensary, you know, out in California that's really popular called Harborside, that, you know, teaches people how to grow and stuff like that. And different types of classes on the endocannabinoid system that all humans have, and cannabinoids and stuff like that. So if you go to my website too, BERINGIAUSA.com, there's a section on there where people can go to book time with me to talk about how to get a job in the cannabis industry too. So, you know, that's one place people can go right now and learn and spend one-on-one time, you know, directly with me, talking. I'm also going to launch an online course next year, somewhere around the end of the first quarter, that people can just go on, kind of like a Grant Cardone type deal, that teaches people how to get jobs and at cannabis dispensaries and cultivation places.
Yeah, cool.
So education's a huge thing, man.
Heck yeah, man. I just pulled it up here and tied it into our feed and dropped the link in the comment section here. And we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. So we're broadcasting live to about 30,000 people. These do really well on the, I guess you call it like a restream. You know, people go back and listen later. You know, so we're hitting 3,000 or 4,000 people with this. So I want to make, you know, on average. So I want to make sure that we get all the questions answered that we can get. So if you guys have any questions in the comments, hit us up. And I've got one right here. Hardy, you good with answering some listener?
Love to, dude. Any questions? I'm ready to go.
All right. So Bobby Gilroy says, I'm a commercial lighting rep. I rep horticultural, I know I'm butchering that, lines, as well as any other style fixtures for businesses. Where could I see who the growers are, dispensary owners are? So basically, where he can get a list where he can market his products to the medical marijuana growers here in the state?
Well, they're you know, of course we don't have any out there publicly right now, but you know, once they do start showing up, you know, social media, they're going to be all over social media. And you can just go on, you know, any social media, or you can go to BERINGIAUSA.com and link up with me, and, you know, and I can definitely put together, you know, a plan for whomever on how to contact these people once they start popping up, for sure. And it's not expensive. Look, I usually charge a pretty good bit and a large kind of lump sum type deal to consult with dispensaries and stuff. But the reason I started Beringia is so I could, you know, make that price point a lot lower. So hopefully, you know, more people can learn about it and talk to a professional without having to spend $1 jillion, you know, like a dispensary owner would.
No, you know, it's really interesting because it's such a big, I've seen what it's done for other areas. And like what I would love to see is, is the leadership of Jxn once it all gets rolling, turn Jxn into like a marijuana resort, you know, like a tourist town, like the New Orleans for marijuana. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, look, Jxn has so much
our teeth into, you know, and be something we can do that nobody else around us is doing.
Oh, for sure. Look, Jxn, you know, I was talking to one of my buddies who's a chef in Huntsville named Parrish Gilliland, one of my best friends. And, you know, and we were just talking about like the South has the food in the South and the culture and the music, you know, and everything is just ripe for people to come back to Mississippi, and really, you know, build up kind of what we've lost over the years, you know, and kind of do it in a better way. And I've had so many people call me, you know, talking about wanting to get into the industry and move back to Mississippi and everything.
That's awesome. It was something I've always said. My political beliefs are not private at all. People know I'm a conservative, but I've always said if they ever put it on the ballot, it was not gonna be a political party. People weren't gonna be voting down party line one way or another. Because I know there's a myth that conservatives are all anti everything. I'm like, no, man, I know, having spent time in the Delta and in the counties and everywhere else, that there's just as many Salt Life conservatives that absolutely smoke weed every day, and it's not
for sure.
Yeah. The media and what social media and all would have you believe it's just inner city, urban, type areas that smoke weed. And it's like, man, no, I'm telling you, I've been around every walk of life, and it's
yeah,
everybody.
It's just, and it's, it's a plant, it's a plant, that's just how it goes. So
I think, and the only argument I've ever made about it is strictly from a personal experience. It was the first drug I did, and it loosened my inhibitions up to say, okay, well, hey, you know what? I'll try this next thing. Then I'll try this next thing. Then I try this next thing, then finally I was like, okay, no more things. No, I've tried all I'm going to try,
that
personal experience.
Yeah. For me, it was actually the thing that kind of stopped me from other things, so it was kind of a gate, not a gateway for me, but more of a gate. And a lot of people, it's that way too, for sure.
Yeah, your boy Parrish here says he appreciates the shout out. My boy, legit pioneer in the cannabis game. Excellent content, guys. Parrish, thank you for checking out the show, brother.
Parrish is my buddy, man. He's got the most amazing gun collection in the world, man. Maybe we can all rendezvous over in Huntsville one day, and he can feed us, and we can go out to the range.
I know some people over there. Okay, so here's a question that I've seen, Jim Miley asked this. I'm gonna pull it up here on the screen for everybody else to see, and it's something that's been a little confusing for us common folks. How much in Mississippi are they going to be able to get per month? Is it 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks, or is it 2 ounces per month? What is going to be the allotment for a patient, or is it going to vary?
No, it's per patient. I believe it's 2.5 ounces per month that you can get. But I mean, your doctor may say, that's like the difference of getting 30 Norcos a month versus 120. It's going to be up to your doctor's discretion, I assume. No, I mean, that's the limit that one person can.
Okay, so if they give it to you, that's it. You don't have to. The amount you get is not measured as long as it's no more than 2.5 ounces.
Yeah, you can't get more than 2.5 ounces.
But you can get any amount you want up to that per month.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Interesting. So I didn't know if maybe they were going to divvy it up based on your, ramping you up to that amount.
Okay. So you're talking about in a 30-day period, if someone buys an eighth and an eighth and an eighth and an eighth, and it's got to add up to 2.5 ounces. Yeah. Well, I think they're going to add it up.
Yeah, well, actually, what I was saying was just if you go to your doctor and he's like, all right, we're gonna prescribe this for you, but your first month we're only gonna give you a 1/2 ounce, stretch it out, make it work.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna be how it works.
Okay, gotcha. That's good to know. Good to know. Thank you on that.
Yep.
Let's see. 5 ounces of weed per month would be a lot, wouldn't it?
Nobody smokes that much. I mean, Snoop Dogg doesn't even smoke that much.
Yeah, that's a lot. So what will I assume that edibles and everything else will be available. Surely there's people who can't smoke and that's kind of harsh on them. So it won't be.
Edibles are the next big deal in the cannabis industry. And I think they're the best way to use cannabis, to be honest with you. I think, it actually affects an entire different section of your endocannabinoid system than inhaling. So, it provides a lot more medicinal benefits. Just smoking is, it's going to give you some benefits, but it's not going to give you the stuff that you can really, really benefit from. And that's going to come from, good quality Rick Simpson oil or full spectrum, THC oil in gummies or something like that.
So the full spectrum THC oil, I think that's what I've heard. Isn't that what they use for people with stomach cancers and
that's Rick Simpson oil.
Crohn's disease, stuff like that?
that's Rick Simpson oil, full
Okay.
spectrum Rick Simpson. It's pretty much the same. It's synonymous.
Because I know people who have had children who have been ill, and they moved to Colorado,
Clay,
places to get the medical health for their child.
Clay, in Michigan, when I had my dispensary, Kind Lansing, I had a guy call me from Oregon who could, and for some reason he couldn't find good Rick Simpson oil in Oregon. This was in 2014, and he called me and he said his son had stage 4 cancer and he needed Rick Simpson oil. And he said, can you get any? Because I can't find any. And I said, well, yeah, I can get some. And we got him a full dosage, a treatment of Rick Simpson oil, which is 60 grams. And he flew from Oregon to Michigan.
That's awesome, man.
And then I didn't think anything about it until, later when he called me and he was like, man, that stuff saved his life. He's in remission.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you get those kind of calls, man, I mean, it's just, you're really a believer.
Heck yeah. So how do you take the oils? Is that just an oral, like 2 drops to the back of the tongue and go? I mean, how is that consumed?
Well, if you're going to take it, say if someone's a cancer patient, right? What they'll do is they'll start off slow with like a rice grain size of oil, and you can basically put it on a cracker and take it with a nab and a Coke, and then you'll kind of slowly work your way up. Yeah, or you can put it in like a little small one of those little small pills that you can get at the pharmacy. So, or you can put it in coffee. You just put a little bit, but there's an actual regimen that people with cancer follow, and you can just Google Rick Simpson oil cancer regimen, and there you go. I mean, you'll be able to find everything from there. But yeah, it's that easy. You just put it on a cracker or a banana. A lot of people put a piece of banana on it and peanut butter, and just take it like that.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so we got a couple questions here. I've got one pulled up on the screen here from, I'm gonna guess isn't his real name, but I dig it. Rasta the Snowballer.
What's up?
Says 2.5 ounces. Will that include concentrates? And I don't necessarily know what that means, so I'm going to let you answer that.
No, I don't think that's going to include concentrates.
So what is a concentrate?
So
concerning marijuana.
Yeah, it's really the same thing as kind of any concentrate. I mean, if you were to go to the grocery store and you see vanilla extract, no different than cannabis extract. So
if you were going to cook with it or make brownies with it or whatever,
it's
just the concentrate. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the names are so simple. It's like, surely you don't mean that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and remember, we got to remember it's a plant. So everything still seems kind of complicated, but like you said, it can get really simple, which is kind of the cool thing about it sometimes.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, concerning the 2.5 ounces, will that include concentrate? With the medical marijuana card, they be able to get concentrates, or is this strictly going to be just the leaf?
Concentrates too.
Concentrates, they will be able to get it.
Yeah, it's included.
How do they measure that? Because I mean, will it just be, they say, okay, this is the equivalent of 2.5 ounces, or is it 2.5 ounces of concentrate? Because it seems like more of the concentrate route would be your better, you're more bang for your buck.
Yeah, that is technically would be your bang for your buck in terms of THC count, percentage. But
if you want to deal with the butt of having to use it like that and break it down, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're talking about concentrates, because that's I heard you on the other show last I guess it was a few days ago, and the people that you hear about getting off opioids by cannabis, it's not usually from just smoking it. It's from the Rick Simpson oil, or and I'm not a big fan. Look, dabbing is it actually helps people that are on heroin and stuff like that, but it's really not good for your lungs so much.
Because I don't know anything other than this. What is dabbing?
So dabbing is when you get a concentrate. It's basically like hitting a bong, but with the concentrates or hash. You've heard of hash.
Yeah,
hash is a concentrate.
Okay.
So it's essentially the same thing. It just gets a higher concentrated, vapor than just smoking. And it kind of hits the reset button on people that are heroin addicts and stuff. And I don't even like to use that term, but
no. I mean, same people who are getting what's that?
I don't like to label anybody,
methadone. They're coming off heroin and opioids, and they're going to a methadone clinic and getting their their daily allotment to keep from having withdrawals.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest concern. Most people who are dealing with an opioid addiction isn't even so much the mental aspect of learning how to not take the opioids and kind of quit forcing or quit not knowing when you're happy or sad, that forever neutral feeling that comes with opioids, that forced happy or forced sad, should I say? Where was I going with that? It's the physical withdrawal of stopping and transitioning to something else. It's like, you hear these horror stories like, I don't want to deal with that. And when I personally got off the opioids, I didn't go through that. Mine was more of a mental thing, and it was a blessing. I'm not upset that I didn't, but I know a lot of people, that's their fear, is like, am I going to have to be curled up in the bed for 3 or 4 days in excruciating pain?
Yeah. And that's why the dabbing, dabbing concentrates. I've seen so many people walk in to the dispensary that, you could tell that they were having a rough go at it. And when they actually started trying some of the concentrates, man, I mean, you could see them, they stood up straight. I saw some of them that didn't have jobs 1 week, and then they started using concentrates. And then a month later, they were a totally different person. And I've heard it so many times, Clay, that I just kind of accept it as fact. And people within the industry, we all know it. We all hear it. We've heard it a million times. And so, I mean, look, I've seen it happen in real life. I mean, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics, but I've really seen it happen. And look, another cool thing about it is it actually I've seen it improve police relations, because a lot of people aren't worried that use cannabis aren't worried anymore about getting in trouble or anything like that. And then they actually embrace they instead of not liking the police officers, they like them. Once cannabis, medical cannabis is legal, and it makes all
the sense in the world, because you don't feel like you're being you're having to hide something. If the cops pull you over, you don't have to feel like, can they smell me? Like, yes, they can smell you.
No doubt. They're smelling.
It's I deal with it all the time. I'm like, man, that's loud. I mean, I ain't mad at you, but don't get mad if the police ask you, if you're high, because you're
no
loud. So I could definitely see that where that would help. So, okay, Michelle Benson says, it's not so much a question as it is a comment, and I want to turn it into a question. She goes, this oil will put Big Pharma out of business as far as seizure and cancer medications are concerned. I have to assume that Big Pharma plans on putting their feet into this, and they already have been, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But, like I was saying earlier, and like you were saying, it's really, really easy to grow a cannabis. I mean, it's not really easy to grow a cannabis plant, but once you learn how, it's really easy. It's like anything else. And it's really easy to make the oil.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can go to Walmart right now. I mean, I have the stuff to make it, anywhere, but you can go to Walmart and buy the stuff to make it.
As long as you have the THC.
As long as you have the bud to make it. And so, they're going to try, but, it's going to be, difficult to stop just everybody from making it themselves once everybody
I know cigarette
learns.
companies are transitioning. I watched a documentary not too long ago. I know they're not called, is it Philip Morris? It's transitioning in where it's allowed into, selling selling marijuana cigarettes or joints, I guess, but theoretically
Yeah,
marijuana cigarettes.
Yeah, and it's going to be really hard for them to kind of replicate what, you know, smaller farms and facilities are able to produce. And there's so many different strains and so many different, you know, taste palettes and all that, that the big companies they're definitely going to make a mark. But, you know, like if you think about it, Budweiser's still around, right? But you still have craft breweries that are profitable and do well, and they're not going anywhere.
And the big companies have been doing is they go and they let the craft breweries become successful, then they buy them and absorb them. So I could see Big Pharma or Philip Morris, these cigarette companies, come up and buy these farms and distribution outlets.
Yeah,
at some point. I mean, they're going to want to stay as relevant as possible in a $1 billion industry as they can. So
Jay-Z just started a company, and they're buying up tons of dispensaries and grow operations in California, and it's getting a lot of the industry over here pretty upset. They've kind of become the behemoth, but it's not going to weed out, pun intended, any of the smaller farmers that are producing boutique stuff.
You know, I saw Tyson's doing it now, and you know, I heard Joe Rogan talk about it. It's just absolutely some of the strongest bud he's ever consumed.
Yeah, Mike is doing a really, really good. I mean, he's doing the industry the right way. He got into it, kind of took his time learning, and he's actually, you know, he's a true smoker, so to speak. So he knows what's going on, and
he was high the other night watching the fight, or during the fight and after.
He probably was during the fight.
Well, he said he was. He said he
did?
He said I smoked a big blunt. Well, this was in the post-fight press conference. Like, yeah, I smoked a big blunt right before I walked to the ring. I was like, of course you did. That's awesome.
Dang, Mike.
So we got a question here, another question from Bobby, and this is great here. He says, Hardy, what's your experience or knowledge to help clear up the debate about gun owners and medical marijuana cards? That's a big thing down here.
Yeah, this is the big, and it's big everywhere, man. So all right, so let me kind of see if I can do this justice here. All right, so look, the long and the short is, right now the way it is, of course, it's illegal to have cannabis, period, you know, federally. I mean, it's a federally, you know, Schedule I narcotic. So, but and to have a gun, it's also, you know, illegal to have a Schedule I narcotic and a gun. So right now it's already illegal for everybody. Yeah. Now the question is, can you, when you go buy a gun, and that question on the questionnaire, the federal question, what do you have to mark? Well, for Mississippians, you're not going to be able to buy cannabis in Mississippi until the deadline is August 15th. 2021 to have all of the cannabis licenses out.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'd wanted to ask that. And
it's going to be a little bit longer afterwards. So before we can get set up and everything,
we could be spring of 2022 with this really getting fully.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a while. I mean, there's going to be a while before the industry gets built out in Mississippi. And that's all that to say, is that I seriously believe that cannabis is going to be rescheduled, reclassified. And I don't think that's going to even be an issue by the time
it rolls around.
I don't think it's going to be an issue, Clay, because, you know, Biden's already signaling, and if he's the guy, you know, then he's already signaling that they're going to reclassify it. And I don't think the Senate, if the GOP keeps control of the Senate, you know, I think they kind of see the writing on the wall in terms of cannabis. And I don't know if they're going to want to block the rescheduling. That's going to be, they're going to face a lot of backlash if they do that.
I think they've seen the financial benefits in the towns or the states that are doing it. They're like, you know what, man, we want some of that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you said that, because this morning I was thinking about, you know, the whole tax issue with the state, and is money going to the general fund and all that. two things. One, the reason it was written into the Constitution, which, to be honest, most people in Mississippi hadn't even read the Mississippi Constitution, but I digress. But anyway, the reason it was written in there like that, because if it weren't written in there like that, then the legislature would have taken all the funding from the program, and then we wouldn't have even been able to start a program. So, and the second thing, about the cannabis and the Constitution, you know, the taxes and all that. If you've got 235 cities in Mississippi right now, so and I calculated it up. Say you have 2 dispensaries in every city. That's 400 dispensaries, yeah, 400 dispensaries, right? And then, you know, you have 15 people working at each dispensary. So, and I ended up adding up all those numbers. That's like $70 million worth of taxes that go back into the general fund just from employee taxes.
It's wild.
Right there. Yeah. And that's just off, you know, that's not even, that's a conservative figure. And that's just dispensaries. That's not grow operations. That's not extraction companies. That's not, you know, they're going to be marketing companies that pop up. They're going to be all kind of businesses.
Like with Canton, everybody's familiar of your third party suppliers. You know, so it's the same, that this industry is going to be looking at the same thing. Your ancillary, what does it bring around it? And I mean, the distribution chain is going to be all over the place for this, you know, in a good way. It's going to be explosive.
It will. I mean, there's so many different ways to make money and follow whatever kind of passion you want to in the cannabis industry than just selling the cannabis or growing it. I mean, you know, that's kind of, if you go to my website, BERINGIAUSA.com, you can see, you know, that little section where the job coaching and part is that I talked about earlier. But, you know, I can help people get, you know, on a different path if they don't want to work at a dispensary or, you know, a growing facility, because there's just so many different ways to get involved.
Well, just like there's medical medicine reps that go, pharmaceutical reps that go to doctors, there's going to be, I would have to assume, medical marijuana reps going and visiting. You know, I assume that's basically about what you would be doing to an extent if you so chose to, you know, kind of go and say, try this, you know, recommend this, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's the sales rep side of the industry. I mean, everything is sales. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I love sales. I mean, that's, if you like sales, shoot, the cannabis industry is gonna be a home for you, because
so tell me,
there's a lot to do it.
Let's talk about dispensaries versus like a Walgreens drugstore type situation. On the early stages of this, is Walgreens going to be, or is anywhere that doctors can write a prescription to, going to be able to sell, fill this prescription, or is it going to have to be standalone dispensaries in an area?
Just dispensaries.
Just dispensaries. So that is going to open up a whole new market of businesses that are not currently open. Entirely new.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I know the answer to this question based on this conversation already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Rasta asked, so will people be, this is probably a 2-part question. Will people be able to grow their own cannabis? I'm assuming theoretically, not legally, but if you get pulled over with it, you could probably just say, well, this is my prescription. I mean, that's kind of the out if you get caught with it, but if you get caught growing it, they could probably still arrest you based on you not paying taxes on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't grow right now. There's no grow at home. When I say right now, under Initiative 65, it doesn't allow home growing.
Can you home grow anywhere in the country?
Yeah, you can. A lot of places.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so that answers that. So to get started, it's going to be doctor prescribe, fill it this one place, fill it these places only. No, nothing. Do it yourself.
Right. Unfortunately, not. But I'm actually working on legislation right now, drafting it, and I'm going to try to get that to some people down in Mississippi at the Capitol. and see if we can't get home grow in Mississippi. It's just everybody should be able to grow. Mississippi has some of the best soil in the world, and our people can grow. You know, we all have, you know, I say we all, a lot of people have green thumbs in Mississippi. Again, no pun intended, but yeah, so I don't think it's going to be too long. I'm going to see if maybe we can't get something going and stir it up a little bit so we can get home grow in Mississippi.
Because I would think, you know, going back to Bobby's question to an extent, I would think that at some point you could open up you could do this now. It just, you know, obviously your customers would be doing something illegal, but you could open up a shop that sold all the stuff to grow this, you know, the lighting, the fixtures, everything you need to get into the business per se, except, you know, you would be illegally into it. I guess just like you can go to the store and buy everything you need to make meth. It ain't illegal to buy it all, but once you mix it all together, it gets illegal pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, that can happen. And
but down the road, it could be a whole nother cottage industry
Clay,
that spins off.
I've already told, you know, a few people that have contacted me that didn't really seem like they wanted to grow or be in the dispensary business. But I told some of them, you know, we might just need to get you a grow shop set up, because it's a wonderful business for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Low maintenance. And that's gonna, once Mississippians can grow at home, then those grow shops will open, and you'll see those definitely fill up a lot of vacant areas in Mississippi for sure.
You know, I'll tell you, this is going to be, especially when it goes, it may be 5-10 years, whatever, but if it goes recreational, what it's going to do for, you know, some of these smaller towns that have done really good with the, and I'm just thinking of somewhere, I'm not an Ole Miss fan, but somewhere like an Oxford, somewhere like a Starkville, and maybe some towns that don't have a college, somewhere like Greenwood, Greenville, that are kind of out there to themselves. Where's that? Clarksdale, you know, they're doing really cool stuff. And if you throw that in the mix somewhere like that,
game over.
You know, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure,
man. I think that'd be really good, especially, you know, when you're butting up to other states where it's not legal yet. And that your buddy asked that question too. He's like, you know, for somebody who lives in Alabama, what's something they can do to try to get the ball rolling to do what Mississippi did? I mean, because I'll be honest, I knew if it ever got there, it would pass. But I'm shocked it ever got onto the ballot.
I'm shocked it got there too.
Especially in as short of a time as it feel like it did.
Yeah, I'm shocked it got there too. Joel Baumgar called me a while ago and wanted me to be on the steering committee for Initiative 65, and I couldn't help, because at the time I was tied up with the International Hemp Auction Market, which is right here, from a flyer that I did. But I've been fighting this fight for 20 years. So, but which is why I didn't think it was, going to pass for a little while. But then, I started I started checking some of the Facebook comments, and people were really in favor of 65. And that really, man, that made me so happy, seeing all those comments from people across the state, up and down, black, white, red, green, all kind of different people saying, yeah, I want to at least be able to have access to it.
So, I know you saw that post I did about 2 months ago, I think. Well, yeah, probably about 2 months ago, a month leading up to the election. I made my own little flyer as a marijuana leaf, and it said 65 or 65A.
I saw it.
And so few people, I would say it probably got 500-600 comments. I would say 1 out of every 100 was neither. People are kind of dug there, and it was overwhelmingly majority 65. Am I saying that right, or was it 65A? I can't even remember now. What was? No,
you're right. It's 65.
65, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there's been so much going on post-election,
right? No kidding.
That it's like been brain damage, but
for sure.
Yeah, so it's like it was at that point I had a really good feeling. I was like, man, this is gonna pass. So one of the things that the opposition tried to say leading into it was 65 is just going to get it bogged down and give them an opportunity to nip this in the bud. I haven't heard nothing else about anything being nipped in the bud or kind of railroaded since the election. Was that just fear mongering from the 65A side of things?
Yeah, that's all it was. I mean, look, those people, I know the 65 people. I mean, I worked in politics for 20 years in Mississippi, and if you get involved in politics in Mississippi at a young age, you never kind of get out, no matter where you are or what you're doing. And the cannabis industry and politics are peas and carrots. But
Yeah.
those folks are really smart. I mean, they Mississippians are. I give a lot of credit to Mississippians, even if we're on the other side of the aisle. And they pulled every trick out of the book, Clay, and they got torn up at the polls, man. I mean, they got taken to
Reeves
the
was on the
woodshed.
wrong side of it, I know, and
he was, and so I think they saw the writing on the wall, and they're just, I heard Henry Barber, who was the head lobbyist against Initiative 65 on Gallo the morning afterwards, and he took it on the chin. I gotta give. Sorry about that.
all good.
I gotta give Henry credit, because he took it on the chin. I mean, he took the L on the chin, and he was like, "Look, I give up." I mean, I don't think the Supreme Court's going to do anything. So yeah, I think they're just pretty much decided that, hey, 65 passed. It's time to kind of move on. And
yeah, we've got some really progressive, conservative representatives right now in the state. Guys like Fred Shanks, just legit good people, man. And I know a bunch of them cats were like, man, let's just do this. It's way past due. Let's get the flag down. Let's legalize this. We can be like, there's just this myth, and you being from here, this, especially being up in Canton. And we get a bad rep in Mississippi, but I was like, man, I know way more. Maybe conservative, not even the right word. Trumplicans. Is that, can we use that term?
Yeah.
Trump Republicans. I know a lot more Trumplicans like myself, where it's just like, the flag doesn't represent me. I don't care one way or another. Go. I'm completely indifferent. I always represented it more with Ole Miss than I did anything negative. So then when it kind of got really getting associated with negativity, I was like, well, whatever. I don't care. That was me personally. And then I was like, well, you know what? Let's get this. I saw what was happening with marijuana legalization across the country with like the tax revenue that was coming in. And being here at ground zero in Jackson, Mississippi, where it feels like a bomb goes off every day, 1980s Beirut, I'm like, hey, man, that could be something that Jackson could really sink its teeth into and say, you know what, this is what we're going to use to rebuild Jackson from the inside out instead of from the outside in, and kind of make it our own thing. And I know it's all with what the state does, but I think Jackson's going to be, just based on the medical hub it is in Mississippi, I think it's going to be the epicenter of this. And I think some good things are going to end up happening, because they already decriminalized it, up to an ounce anyway. So
yeah, there's a lot of cheap property in Jackson too, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of warehouse space that is going to be that people I guarantee you, people are looking at property in Jackson right now to put facilities or dispensaries or whatnot.
I'm gonna tell you, so growing up in Mississippi, it's like, I associate farming and stuff with old country white people. I'm just gonna be honest, that's my stereotype of when I think of people farming. But something I've seen very interesting come about the last few months is some African Americans I know on social media and in real life getting into the early stages, getting prepared to be able to be in the marijuana business. They got CBD farms and stuff popping up, and I'm like, this is interesting. I see what they're doing, and I like it. I think it's going to be,
sure. Yeah.
If you can get a whole nother industry here creating jobs, and that's what it comes back to. That goes back to quality of life, and everything that's wrong with Jackson right now is because there's not a lot of good jobs. That's poverty. You get people out of poverty, and it's amazing what they quit doing wrong.
No doubt, man.
I look at this as another path. This actually kills two birds with one stone. It could create a whole nother industry, as well as keep people out of prison by being decriminalized. So,
yeah, and actually, give the police officers, time to focus on real crimes, real, unsolved murders, for goodness sakes, unsolved other crimes, and this, other things that they need to be dealing with, instead of folks smoking pot, or weed, or whatever they call it,
Yeah, and I don't want to get on to a long thing about the pros of it being legal. I think that people have already made their mind up on that and they agree with us. But just in here thinking about it out loud, it's like, man, this is really going to have some positives to it. I mean, it's going to be hard. I can always vision the negative because there are going to be people who are getting it and because they got a card and turn around and resell it. And I did see where I heard it on 97.3. I don't remember whose show or who it was that said it, but they were saying one of the questions was, can the medical marijuana cards be bootlegged? Say I have your medical marijuana card on me and I get pulled over. Can the cop sees it, or if I have a bootleg one that looks just like a real one, better example, with my name on it, there's no way for the cops to be able to scan it and tell you if it's real or not. So basically, people can bootleg the medical marijuana card and ride around with their weed. Is that true? Or I guess it would be just like a pharmaceutical. It's going to come in a medicine thing with your name on it with the prescription and everything.
Yeah. Well, look, here's kind of how that works. You're right. It's going to, they're going to put a barcode on those cards, and they're going to be able to track them.
Surely.
So yeah, they will. And you know what? I heard that from somewhere else. I think it was on Gallo.
Yeah, I want to say it was on Gallo or the show after.
And look, I've never heard of that happening before.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I think so. The risk is so high, and as opposed to the ease of which someone can get a card. I mean, if you have any type of chronic pain, and there's a lot of other ways and medical debilitating conditions that you can have to get it. So it's not that difficult to get a card, just like it's not difficult to go to the doctor and get, antihistamines or whatever, medicine that can help you.
Yeah. But I think it'd be real easy. If you have a medical marijuana card, you ought to be able to blend it into your driver's license, just like if you're an organ donor.
Yeah.
Like marijuana, boom, it's already scanned. I mean, that seems like one easy way to transition into.
That's a good idea.
Time for a few more questions here.
Of course.
People are lighting us on up now. Tiffany Holloway Shields asked, can anyone open a dispensary? I mean, I'm guessing anybody that's not a felon that gets just like getting a liquor license theoretically.
Yeah. Anybody's going to be able to do it. But, of course, the State Board of Health is going to create all of the parameters with which you're going to have to follow and do it. But yeah, it's designed to allow anybody, who is in Mississippi and all of that, and they're going to be, it's out of state too, can come in, but they're probably going to cap that, for a percentage of each dispensary can only be owned by someone from out of state. But yeah, anybody's going to be able to open one. So
Jennifer Guthrie says she heard a dispensary is going to cost around $4 million to open. Is that true?
No. In other states where the state legislatures wrote the bills, some of them.
So like if it had been 65A here, it
right? Yeah, if it had been 65A,
expensive.
Yeah, if it had been 65A, it would have cost you millions. But now that 65 passed, that's going to open it up to people that aren't multimillionaires. Now you're probably going to, I mean, it's like any other business, you're going to have some, at least have money to open the business, have money to stock it, have money to, do things that you have to do.
The difference in opening up a little gas station in South Jackson versus building a new one in Madison, you're going to be able to, whatever your budget allots for you to do, but it will also limit your business as well, so the bigger you are, the better, I assume.
Yep.
Well, not bigger ain't always better, but quality.
Well, yeah.
So, all right, good stuff there. All right, let's see here. Rasta asked another good question here. Do you know what the zoning is going to have? Has that even been brought up? What the zoning is going to be for growing facilities? Is it going to have to be like industrial, commercial? Will you be able to grow it and sell it at the same spot? Is it going to have to be a middleman?
So the
like a distribution system, like ABC and beer and stuff, three tier distribution. So
you can actually own the dispensary and grow in.
Excellent.
You can be a cultivation and dispensary center, and the cultivation places, they're gonna be under the same distances from a church that, dispensaries and pharmacies are.
Yeah, and liquor stores and stuff of that nature.
Yep.
Got it. So this is probably goes back to the same thing that you said about the guns and, and whatnot, because as long as it's a Schedule I federal crime. But I know right now anybody that's in the business can't deposit their money in the bank.
Well, that's not true. You can. Billions and billions of dollars of transactions occur, daily.
Yeah.
With banks. Now, not all banks do it, but some of them still do. Several years ago, Attorney General Eric Holder issued some guidelines, and since then, and those guidelines were for banks. And since then, Attorney General Barr kind of he took the guidelines away, but in practicality, they actually still follow those guidelines. So, you can get, but you got to know how to do it. And if you hire someone like myself, or know somebody in the industry that knows how to do that, then you can absolutely
don't want to tell them how to make the sausage for free here, but there is a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but it definitely takes time, and you've got to talk to the individual person and see, well, and there are different options that you can, pick to do transactions in the cannabis industry. It's just kind of up to each individual.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking outside the box a little. I'm guessing there's probably money holding facilities that don't consider themselves banks and aren't FDIC insured that can handle your money for you. Because I mean, at some point, you don't want to have to put $10 million in a safe in the shop.
Yeah, and it's not really a cash business anymore. It's all digital. Transactional debit cards. I mean, if we were to go to I know you know who Burner is, right?
Yeah.
If you were to go to his dispensary up the road and walk in, you're going to use your debit card. Or credit card, at just like you would buy groceries. So, and then it leaves your bank and it goes into their bank, so. Gotcha.
That's good to know. So, I mean, I just said that was something that I've seen come out. Well, you can't put it because of the federal law side of it. You still can't do anything with your money. But I'm guessing,
and when the MORE Act, the bill in the House committee that just passed, if that ends up passing federally, that's going to change that too. And then that's going to make the whole banking issue a moot point. And all of the banks are going to end up being able to easily take transactions.
Yeah, I can see this and the rise of digital currency like Bitcoin and stuff, getting all in bed together. It's going to be fun to watch what happens over the next 10 years, assuming that we're not all out of a civil war here in the next year. I'm gonna be positive here for a minute.
Yeah.
And just assume that this all works itself out. And everybody can be friendly to one another.
No doubt.
Let's see if we have any more questions here. Let's see if we can decipher this. Jimbo asked, are you going to have license to grow? License, I assume, is probably a typo. Yeah, you're going to have a license. You'll have to go to the state and get a license and do a background check or whatever. Like I know to get a liquor permit, you got to have a $5,000 tax bond, either cash or bond, to basically say that they're going to get their money. Yeah. You're going to have to be bonded, insured, all that. Sure. It's going to be a process, and I guess here, kind of like when they rolled out the lottery. So, think about this within pretty much say 24 months of each other, some 24 to 36 months of each other. We're going to go from nothing to having the lottery, to having medical marijuana. I mean, that's a lot for a state that couldn't get out of its own way for the last 100 years.
Mashing on the gas, man.
I know, gas. Absolutely, man. That's what's up. Let's see here. Jim says we nailed it. Nailed it on the head about the warehouses and buildings that are empty. That's going to be great. All right, so that's it on questions right now. If you guys have any questions, man, hit us up as we kind of start to land this plane a little bit. Hardy, while I got you on here, man, you gonna be back in Mississippi anytime soon?
Yeah, very soon. Probably within the next month or so.
Get at me when you get here, man. We need to go have a beer and
absolutely,
up,
for sure, man.
So a little
No doubt.
background here, man. I met Hardy. Somehow we went very, very running the same circles for a while, and I guess you moved off and whatnot, but know a lot of the same people, but never knew each other. And we were selling cars together at a local Honda dealership, and it ended up becoming buddies. And next thing you know, we both kind of get out of that side of the business. And I kind of this Save Jackson thing just kind of happened. And next thing I know, Hardy, and I never knew that. I never knew this side of you, about the marijuana side until you kind of openly became open about being in the business. I'm like, Hardy, you're like, one of the most well-dressed, well-groomed, nicest, most professional people. So you shatter a lot of stereotypes.
Man,
with this.
yeah,
I guess that's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I shatter them every day within my own self, Clay. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of two peas in a pod. And you know what? Also, you're like, and I bet I know the answer to this question. I'm probably one of the only friends that you have on two hands that watch boxing still.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a couple, there's people who watch the big fights, and they'll chime in on Facebook every now and then. But my buddy Chris Brown, that's a singer for One Less Reason up in Tennessee there. He's a big boxing fan. Myself, you got a couple guys. I imagine Bobby Gilroy here is a big boxing fan. You got some people that still love that side of combat sports when it's done right, but they're working on it. The pandemic stopped the moment. They had a lot of momentum, and you're starting to get. And then what's his name? Wrecked his Ferrari there in Dallas. Flew out of it.
Spence Jr. He's fighting. He's fighting this weekend. Danny,
I thought so.
Garcia.
This is his comeback fight. Yeah. So you got some young talent, the potential superstars, and that's kind of been the problem with boxing the last few years. There's been so many non-Americans, and nothing wrong with non-Americans partaking, but Americans tend to lose their interest in it if we don't have somebody that we can relate to fighting. And I think that's what hurt boxing nationally.
We really need some heavyweights.
We do.
Americans need heavyweight boxers.
We've adopted Tyson, Fury. And of course, the Bronze Bomber, what's his damn name? From Alabama.
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay, thank you. You have Deontay, but he's done a lot to make himself very unlikable, and not even like in a good heel way either. Just, I don't know, man.
Hey,
when you lose and you don't own it, it takes away from it for me.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's really. I
guess I sound like a hypocrite there, but
well, I mean, we all fall, and look, I've probably made more mistakes than anything. I mean, that's in life, that kind of gives you more credibility, the older you get. Like I'm very weary of dealing with people in business unless they've taken a couple of L's in life, man. I mean,
I got to know that you can handle adversity.
Yeah, if you hadn't been through some L's, man, I mean, you need to go through some L's before we talk, just in terms of if you want to do like a big business type deal, so, and hey, and now, but talk to stay on boxing for a second. I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Kenzie Morrison. Kenzie, I don't know if you know who Kenzie is, but Kenzie, he's one of my friends on here. His dad is Tommy Morrison. Oh, I know.
I think I've seen Kenzie on, do some interviews.
Yeah, and Kenzie's undefeated.
I saw you post some stuff with him or something.
He's undefeated right now. He recently called out Jake Paul, so he wants that Jake Paul fight. So if there are any boxing fans out there that are watching, go to Kenzie's webpage and check that out. Go to his Facebook page and kind of give him some support. He's an American guy. He's a big old heavyweight, undefeated. So
great white hope.
He is that, man. Yeah. So we'll see.
If you don't know who Tommy Morrison is, Tommy Gunn from Rocky V.
Yep.
Rocky V, right?
Yeah, Rocky V.
Yeah, the one after Russia, the one in New York.
Yeah, all right, that one.
Philadelphia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he was heavyweight champion of the world.
He was just had a glass chin, and then got AIDS.
Which is still kind of up in the air. They're still trying to. There's a lot of stuff behind that, but
I know. I was a huge fan of Tommy's, man. I think we all were.
For sure.
To be a boxer in a movie and to be a heavyweight champion in real life,
legendary.
Pretty cool stuff. We got a couple more questions here, and I know you're a busy man. Bobby asked again, there are many states that have some medical marijuana law. which state, if any, did Mississippi compare their regulations? In particular, what state could we look to see to kind of gauge for what to expect? So is there, do we have like some sister law that we adopted from another state that we can kind of look up and say, okay, this is kind of what they're doing. This is what we can expect to do here.
Yeah. Oklahoma. So it's not, it's not going to be as big as Oklahoma's market. Mississippi has 2.9 million people in it, and Oklahoma has 3.9. You're going to have a lot more dispensaries there, but
when you have a major city like Oklahoma City and stuff,
right?
Too, so.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be where a lot of people are going to be able to open dispensaries. So yeah, if you look to Oklahoma, that's going to be. But you got to look to other ones too, because it's not just going to be Oklahoma. The State Board of Health is going to be combing through all the different states. And so, it would be good to kind of learn the other states and how they kind of do things too, just to be prepared.
A little bit from here, a little bit from there.
Yeah.
But as far as the legislation itself goes, or the way the law is written, so are we calling 65? Is it a law or is it legislation? I want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Well, it's about to be law.
Okay.
I believe in actually a couple of days a couple of days they actually have to certify, I believe, the bill. Or the initiative rather.
Yeah.
And then it will become part of the Constitution, and it'll just be in the Constitution.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's an initiative. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Again, man, been a lot of brain damage. All right. So we got that. Casey here, pull it up on the screen. Casey Stubbs asks, what if you're a federally licensed employee and fall under, this is a great one, and fall under random drug testing policy? If I'm legally licensed for marijuana on the state level, will the federal drug test marijuana category be weighed from the drug screen?
Probably not. I mean, yeah, I don't believe so.
Yeah, but with all that said, with all that said, by the time this becomes official, the anticipation is that it has been deregulated from being a Schedule I federal narcotic, and it should be a moot point.
I think so. I really think so. I mean, I would bet money on it.
But if it was today, if your job doesn't, if your job says you can't be high, I mean, you can't consume marijuana, it's going to be up to your job, but it's up to you to take that job. Well, I guess if you already have that job, it's a different story. So, but from a state and federal level, I don't know how private business can do that there.
Private businesses, they can pretty much do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
If you agree to work there, it's on you for the agreement.
Yeah. I mean, there's the businesses are going to be protected. A private business can say you can't smoke cigarettes. And I heard recently about a company drug testing for nicotine.
Yeah.
And
I think that like one of the things people think about is like, obviously you can't go to work drunk. You're going to get relieved of your duties.
And you shouldn't go to work all high and stoned either. I mean, that's
exactly.
And you shouldn't go to work all hopped up on, whatever it is.
And I think that the difference in marijuana versus say alcohol is you can drink the night before, go pee in a cup at noon, and they may or may not know you had been drinking depending on how much you would use the bathroom. Marijuana, there's no way to gauge, I'm guessing, through a piss test if you got high 5 minutes ago or 5 days ago.
No.
So just I guess it would be up to the employer. So that's a good question. But hopefully it's a moot point by the time this all becomes official. The federal side is taking care of itself.
I think
it seems like they're leaving a lot of money on the table themselves.
Yeah.
Coming out of COVID, I think it's going to be a lot of people say, how can we refill the coffers?
For sure. And look, all these people, and especially COVID,
we didn't even talk about that part of this.
All the PTSD from all the nurses.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I lost my cousin's wife died from COVID. She was a nurse, man. She was one of those, and she was on chemo too. Yeah, so all the nurses that RIP to Christy Hardy, by the way, but
Yeah.
all the nurses and stuff, and the doctors, and all the first responders and frontline people that have had to go through this pandemic. I mean, I can't think of a better thing to happen, honestly, than medical cannabis in Mississippi right now. I mean, I think it's
No.
came right on time.
You know, I agree, and I think that was one of the things that people looked at from the legislative side, from our representative sides on the state or whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
I think they say, okay, there's going to be a big market for this, and they saw what the lottery was doing. Then they saw what COVID was, the negative effect COVID was having, and say, hey, you know what, if we can kind of fill the gaps with this coming out of this, it's a great opportunity to jump in front of, just like with gambling. The other thing I left out was sports gaming. That I knew there was a third thing that had happened in the last 24 months: sports gaming, lottery, and medical marijuana in Mississippi, all inside 2 to 3 years of each other. It's huge.
Big deal, man.
The income, and if they go where you can start betting on your phones through apps and stuff, like well, it was legal, then they pulled it back. The fantasy sports betting and stuff like that. But
I would have made a lot of money last year, last couple of years.
Yeah,
in boxing.
I'm telling you, man, the possibilities are endless with this, man. I'm really, especially after talking to you tonight, I'm really fired up about the potential here.
It's going to be big, man. Mississippians are going to take the bull by the horn. And look, hey, and I've been telling people this for a long time. There are going to be people that come out of like engineering school, like at Mississippi State, who create different cannabis products and become multi-millionaires.
Well, yeah, and look, man, speaking of engineers, a couple of the guys that had Lucky Town Brewery. Now, granted, it's no longer with us, but not necessarily of any fault of their own. It was just bad circumstances, and sometimes it sucks to be the first. But they were in, both guys went to Mississippi State, had engineering degrees, and got into doing craft beer and stuff. And they're both out of the business now, but it's the same concept. I mean,
right?
If they had become millionaires, it's the same thing. And I saw another craft beer brewery was going to open up. I see this really being cool down in the not my particular place to hang out, but that Belhaven Fondren area. They're gonna wrap their arms around this, and it's gonna be huge.
That's gonna be nice.
Another brewery opening up down there. So that's cool. 2 more quick questions. I'm gonna let you go. Jim asked, will they have marijuana DUI test? I would have to assume so. I'm surprised they don't now.
They're working on it. They just gotta, folks gotta get the technology down.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a whole interesting deal there for sure.
That's also been one of my long-term hangups on it was, coming from somebody who's spent a lot of time high over the years, don't need to be driving high. I know there's people who say, oh, well, I drive better high. I drive better drunk. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah. I mean, just be safe and don't be all high driving, and don't be, thinking you can, because that'll be the one time you slip up. Just, stay at home, and damn sure don't smoke and drive. I mean, gosh.
Use common sense. You treat it just like any other kind of sedative,
Yeah.
Real quick here, last question. Jennifer asked or says, some county and cities are saying they are not going to allow it to be grown or dispensed in their area. And with that said, they don't get to say so in that. And my understanding is that was the difference. One of the differences in 65 and 65A is whether Mary Hawkins wants it or not, it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's I like Mary Hawkins. I'm old family friends with her family and stuff, but that's, she's not going to be able to stop overturn the state constitution. I mean,
some of that's just saber rattling for the base.
It could be, it could be. And she's huge on zoning, and I understand all that.
Yeah.
And all that, but you can't be too restrictive that there's nothing to do, and that other businesses don't want to come there and all that. Especially medical cannabis, which passed with 70% of the vote.
Well, our mayor here in Jackson, I rarely have anything good to say about him as a politician. I don't know the man personally, don't care. But as a politician, I've watched him make mistake after mistake after mistake. But one of the things, kind of undoing one of his mistakes that I will give him credit for, is he saw the cities are coming out of the lockdowns, the COVID lockdowns and the restrictions and stuff. He saw Pearl and Madison and Clinton and these other places all around Jackson opening back up and people just going outside the city to spend their money.
Right.
He's like, well, if everybody else isn't going to follow by the same rules, we're not going to punish our businesses here, which I think is a terrible way of thinking, but neither here nor there. Same concept. Why take all that tax money right out of Madison to the surrounding areas that are going to allow it? And you just lose that money. It's the same thing with liquor not being allowed in Rankin County forever. People in Rankin County are still drinking. They just drive into Jackson to spend the money.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
so there's going to be dispensaries in Madison for sure.
Yeah. So I think that answers that. All right. Well, look, brother, you got anything you want to plug?
Go to magnoliahempcompany.com, creativebathdesign.com, and BERINGIAUSA.com if you want to be able to talk directly to me and see how you can get involved in the cannabis industry, and also keep supporting SaveJackson.com and everything that Clay's doing.
Oh, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And look, and Hardy follows the page, and because he messages me all the time about stuff he sees. So if you have any questions or comments that you maybe think of later tonight or tomorrow, I'm sure Hardy will go back and check this feed out and see the comments, and we'll gladly answer anything. Yeah,
and you can find me on Twitter at HardyCase1 too, and
also at HardyCase1.
Also, yeah.
And just make sure I had it right there, not 1, 2. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Real quick here, man, I just want to plug my sponsors. Thank you to USA Pawn. Check them out online at usapawn.com. They have their 10-10-10 layaway special going into the holidays. 10% down, 10% per month, 10 months to pay. If they got an expensive purse or some jewelry or something you want to get for your wife or significant other, check them out. You can pay your layaway online without ever having to go back in the store until it's time to pick up your item. Same if you borrow money. 6 metro area locations. Check them out online at usapawn.com. The gym at BYRAM, my favorite workout spot, even though I haven't been going nearly as much as I need to. Check them out online. The gym at BYRAM.com, one of the premier workout facilities in the South, open 24/7. Tanning, indoor basketball, swimming pool, locker rooms, saunas, everything. They got it all. Spin classes, you name it. And then last but not least, father and son, Southern Lawn Care Professionals, Danny White and the team right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Again, Southern Lawn Care Professionals for any of your lawn care needs. Hardy Case,
Clay,
brother, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for being my guinea pig with the new setup here and doing this live. These expensive Shure headphones came with another microphone that I bought, and I've never used them. And I saw they're like $250 if you buy them separately. I was like, man, I probably need to figure out something to do with those. And this is finally a purpose to use them. So
awesome.
Pretty excited about that. Of course, they don't fit in my ears, right? But as life goes.
Whatever. Yeah, you got it.
All right. Well, look, my guys, we're going to log off, man. Thank you all so much for watching tonight, and follow Hardy. And we will be back probably. I've got to do my podcast tomorrow night because it's got to be in by Friday for the radio station. But I will be back on Friday night. So you guys take care. Peace out, Hardy. I'll give you a shout. Thank you, brother.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Have fun.
All right.